a lot of athletes now are hiring stylists, and a lot of sports teams have started hiring stylists because they have seen the impact that's having on their ability to work with certain luxury brands, align themselves with luxury fashion, and also have brand partnerships, especially for their athletes. We've seen so many athletes be signed recently. You have, basketball players like Victor Wembanyama, who is a Louis Vuitton ambassador right now. You have some interesting footballers being picked as ambassadors, which I don't understand why, because no one knows them for style, and their style to me is very tacky. Like Jack Grealish, he's an ambassador for Gucci. I do not understand that, but I guess he's one of the ambassadors for Gucci. So we're seeing these deals in real time. We see Jude Bellingham also signed with Louis Vuitton. And before, I think earlier, we used to see mainly only like Formula One, like historically, it was really only Formula One and basketball athletes mainly that got all the brand deals aligned with fashion. But now I think more and more sports are being aligned with fashion. Like we're seeing football players be signed for the first time, and like so many other sports. And it seems that there's a bigger focus on style for sports teams than there ever has been before, to be very honest. Like all these moments in sports and fashion aligning. But let's read. When 7-time world champion Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton left his Mercedes-Benz team for Scuderia Ferrari, Mercedes found itself in a vulnerable spot. Not only did they just bad English. Not only had they just lost. I thought they said not only did they just lost. I was about to say, geez, not in vogue business, but I was wrong. Not only had they just lost their best driver on the track, but they lost the gravity of his cultural force off track. That's very true. Hamilton has arguably become the biggest F1 star with 39 million Instagram followers. I didn't know he had that many followers, to be honest. Partnerships with brands including Dior, Lululemon, and Tommy Hilfiger. I mean, to be fair, Lewis Hamilton is known as the Formula One's fashionista. Like people always take pictures of his outfits on the grid. Like, look. Like Lewis Hamilton on the grid, like Lewis Hamilton grid fashion. That's like a famous thing. I like that he experiments. Personally, I would say that Lewis Hamilton's personal style is not to my own personal taste. But I always appreciate a man that experiments with his style. And I think he has a lot of outfits that he's worn that I've loved. But he's very hit or miss when it comes to his style. It's very, very all over the place. Lewis Hamilton, short king, petite baddie. Petite baddie is insane. That's crazy. But yeah, so he's quite famous. Not people in the chat saying I'm pushing my straight agenda. I mean, what do you guys want me to do? I talk about things that I'm interested in. But reading on, he's one of the key facilitators for fashion getting involved in the higher tier racing class. That's true. Also, now Ferrari would bask in his glow. To move its cultural momentum forward, the Mercedes team had to come up with a plan. It quietly listed a clothing executive job, a hybrid styling and fashion partnerships role. By early 2025, Eleanor Coleman had been hired as the team's first ever styling and partnerships manager. The creation of the styling and partnerships manager role is part of a broader commercial strategy aimed at strengthening our fashion and brand partnerships, says Richard Sander, Chief Commercial Officer of the Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team. While Lewis Hamilton was certainly a major reason for F1 embracing fashion, this role was conceived to ensure continuity and to further professionalize our approach to fashion, making it more strategic and impactful. And just across the board in general, I have seen a lot of sports teams actually creating jobs for fashion specific people. So for example, was it Crystal Palace, I think? So for people that don't know, Crystal Palace is a Premier League football team. It's like a really big team in the UK and worldwide. They have a really strong fan base. They hired like a creative team to design their apparel and design their football jerseys and stuff. So that was very interesting. Crystal Palace appoints Kenny and then Jonathan as the Premier League's first ever creative director. So the first ever creative director happened less than 2 years ago. So all of this stuff is happening really fast. So yeah, all this stuff is very, very new. London-based football club Crystal Palace has become the first side in the Premier League to hire a creative lead to oversee apparel collections and fashion partnerships. So basically, Formula One is just almost 2 years late to the party, basically. They're just late in doing that. They just, didn't see the vision until much later is the point. But reading on, What was once built around one star has now been absorbed into an organizational strategy, a safeguard against cultural drop off and a way to scale fandom across the team. While Lewis was our key original approach, the platform he used to express his natural style was created in conjunction with the team here, says Sander. No, Sander, I think you're taking too much credit. I think Lewis Hamilton's personality, he would have been known for fashion regardless of whatever team that he drove for. Like, I don't think Mercedes should be taking any credit for Lewis Hamilton being a fashion icon. Like, his ability to be a fashion icon has absolutely nothing to do with Mercedes, because there are people that are drivers in Formula One that are iconic as drivers, but no one knows them for style. Like Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is a famous driver, won so many of the last recent championships, and no one knows him for style because he doesn't dress that way. So I'm going to call cap on that one, Mercedes team. Stop trying to give yourself credit in this article. But reading on, that foundation is now being scaled for its other drivers, including George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. George Russell and Kimi are never going to be fashion icons. Sorry. I'm a Formula One fan. I love George Russell. I think he's really wholesome. Kimi, I'm still warming to him. However, no one associates Kimi and George Russell with style. Like, stop it. Absolutely stop it. If Mercedes thinks that they can make George Russell a fashion icon, what? Stop it. Just stop it. Like, this is, for guys that don't know, George Russell is a British Formula One driver. God, Kimi, that's crazy. And his style to me is just like he dresses like, let me tell you what George Russell dresses like. George Russell dresses like an English guy that went to private boarding school in the UK. Like, this is how they dress. Like, Ralph Lauren polo shirts, like chinos, white sneakers, sunglasses, turtleneck with the navy Harrington jacket, like the bomber jacket with the white shirt and the sunglasses. Like, he dresses like a British boarding school boy. That is literally how he dresses. Like, they are not turning George Russell into a fashion icon. It's not happening. I do not see it. There's no world in which that happens, but good luck to the Mercedes team. Good luck to the Mercedes team. But this man is not becoming a fashion icon. They're not taking whatever they think that they did with Lewis Hamilton and turning it into, a fashion icon thing for their drivers. That's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. He could glow up, who knows? I don't even think it's about a glow up or not a glow up. He's a Formula One driver. Like, his job is to be a good driver on the grid. That's his focus. His focus is not fashion. So unless you have a personal interest, like Lewis Hamilton does, there are some Formula One drivers that I think can be known for fashion. I think that, let me think of who are the most stylish Formula One drivers. I mean, I'm trying to think, because Lewis Hamilton, there's like a gap. It's like Lewis Hamilton. I think Lando Norris pulls out some outfits sometimes. I think who else? Pierre Gasly sometimes can pull out a fit. I feel like Pierre Gasly, he has some fits. Who else? There's not many of them. It's not many. Nico Rosberg is not a current driver though. But I do like Nico's style. Nico Rosberg can pull out an outfit for sure. But here, Nico Rosberg isn't driving. I'm talking about currently on the grid. You can go to the 60s and might find one. Damn. We're talking about current Formula One drivers, because the Mercedes team is making the case that they can turn their drivers into the new Lewis Hamilton, which I'm not seeing. To me, the reach into fashion is very possible. Formerly fashion-free arena is so banal and an obvious money grab. Yeah, for sure. Definitely true, Jennifer. Someone said it's wankercore. Who said it's wankercore? So yeah, Daniel Ricciardo, I agree, but he's not on the grid either. I love Daniel Ricciardo, by the way. I'm a big fan of his, but yeah, he's not on the grid. Yeah, no F1 driver is fucking with Lewis Hamilton. So no F1 driver is fucking with Lewis Hamilton's style. End of story. They will always look better in their F1 suits anyways. That is true also. But yeah, anyway, like I said, I just wanted to show you guys how George Russell dresses. Nothing against it. I just don't think that you can dress like this and be a fashion icon. I don't think that people look to people that dress like this as fashion icons. Like, he genuinely dresses like kids that go to boarding school in the UK. Like, no joke. Like the rich kids that go to boarding. This is literally boarding school core, if that ever was a thing. Like polo shirts. Like, this must be Tommy Hilfiger. Exactly. Tommy Hilfiger hoodie with the overcoat. Like, this is literally how rich kids in the UK dress. like the turtleneck. It's actually quite funny. I'm getting flashbacks. White denim shirt with white chinos, blue denim shirt, white sneakers. So this is who they think they can make a fashion icon. Interesting. Well, let's go back to the article. We want to keep investing in fashion collaborations that resonate with our broader audience. This shift in approach, making fashion a formal part of the commercial playbook, isn't unique to F1. Across sports league, a similar move is underway. In the NFL, stars like Joe Burrow and Saquon Barkley prove that fashion credibility is cultural credibility with real commercial value. That's true. Burrow's stylist Kyle Smith reported that the quarterback's appearance in a backless Peter Doe suit at Vogue World in 2024 generated $20 million in media impact value. I really need to figure out, because they always talk about this media impact value. I need to know how exactly they calculate it. Because they tend to always say, you know, yeah, they generated 100 million of media impact. It's like, what can that tangibly be related to in sales figures? So I'm curious to know about that. But reading on, the moment was orchestrated by Smith, who was recently named the NFL's fashion editor, underscoring just how much stylists can elevate the visibility and commercial impact for fashion brands and athletes. Pierre Mahio, creative director of Parisian label Officine Generale, saw retail impact after Super Bowl champion Barkley was styled in the brand by Joshua McPherson. Seeing the fresh faces in sports who are influencing American style has been interesting. Our men's customer in the States finds inspiration in different places than Europe, and I love to see how Saquon has worn the brand and the stores saw interest in the pieces. That is very true. I think that there are loads of people that have a lot of money that go to these games. I mean, to be very honest, you kind of have to be rich to go to the Super Bowl because that thing is expensive as hell. So those are probably the same kind of people. And the Super Bowl is very much like a men thing. It's like a manly thing. A lot of men are into sports, especially compared with women. So the menswear impact especially is in those kind of places, right? People with money that sit courtside at the NBA games, they have the spending power to just see something that they like and then be like, yeah, I'm going to walk into the store and buy it. So it is like good marketing in a way, for sure. It's definitely good like product placement. And I'm surprised because I've said this on streams in the past, and you guys that, you know, that watch this will know this, but I've always said I don't know why these sports teams don't have like tunnel fits and like increase the commercial value, because the reason why NBA players make so much money in endorsements is because a lot of stuff that they wear on the court can actually be bought and worn casually. And then also they have the tunnel fit also that builds kind of their branding as like a fashionable person, and so many other sports just didn't have that. So finally, I don't know why these industries are so slow to adapt to things. Like, it's such an obvious thing to do, but they're only just realizing it. It's actually insane. But reading on, Courtney Mays, who has worked with four-time Women's NBA champion Sue Bird and New York Liberty forward Brianna Stewart for several years, told Vogue Business that brands choosing to work directly with experienced stylists involved in the Women's Basketball League would help them to truly understand what representing these athletes authentically actually means. I will say, because I'm a sports fan, so I watch women's and men's sports, I would say that the women's NBA players are really stylish. Like, they're really, really stylish. Some of them do work with stylists, to be fair, but they do pull out some really good fits. I'm surprised that a lot of those women's NBA players, especially because the league has been exploding with Caitlin Clark and all of that stuff, I'm surprised that they don't have more endorsement deals. I think it's coming though. I think a lot of them sooner or later are going to start signing more endorsement deals because, yeah, the women's NBA players can really, really dress. They really can. But reading on, Smith says that the right fashion moments don't just expand a player's cultural reach. They open new demographics for teams and leagues alike. I always say to NFL athletes, what was the first concert you went to? And do you have a t-shirt from it? And then when you wear the Sade t-shirt, now you have a new fan that maybe wasn't your fan before, he explains. This psychological connection allows for prospective fans to see a bit of themselves in the league, and that starts their fan journey with football, with that player. Okay, we have a Travis Kelce wearing Tom Brown. That's not a good fit though. I understand that like they're trying to, you know, promote Tom Brown or whatever, but it just doesn't look great. The outfit just doesn't look great. Like with the striped beanie and the tie and the blazer and the trousers, he He does look a damn mess, and the suit does fit horribly. I don't know why they put him in that, to be honest. And this is how you know that this merging of sports with fashion, it needs some work, because I don't know what stylist put Travis Kelce in this suit, but that suit looks terrible. And with the J's, exactly, it just makes the suit look awful. Like, whichever stylist styled this, they need to change. That stylist shouldn't be styling Travis Kelce anymore. Damn. That looks awful, like, objectively. But reading on. For teams looking to grow their fan bases, fashion serves as a powerful acquisition tool, with stylists acting as facilitators to deliver the right moments to the right players and gain access to new audiences. We definitely have our hardcore fans on lock, Smith continues. The question is, how can we reach new audiences or just a new demographic of people? Fashion is a great way to do that. Building a holistic fashion strategy. Unlike personal stylists at the athlete level, a league or team stylist plays a cross-functional role, bridging social marketing partnerships and cultural strategy to shape how the organization shows up off the field. Maybe I need to apply to one of these jobs, because the things that these stylists are putting these players in, especially because I know you Americans, you guys have crazy salaries. I know they're going to be charging, they're going to pay some stylist $200K to put these athletes in these awful outfits. Like, I definitely need to apply to one of these jobs, because damn, like, if that's what they're doing, I can definitely do a better job than that. For sure. Like, if being a creative director of, yes, plus consulting, if being a creative director of the fashion creative director of a sports team entails putting your athletes in looks like this, I can do a job. I can do a number. Putting athletes in poorly fitting suits, trust me, I can do that. I can definitely do a job there. But reading on, I feel like the biggest business justification for my role is, okay, so Smith is talking about the justification for the role. That's cool. Unlike personal stylists at athlete level, legal team stylist plays a cross-functional role. Okay, we read that. I feel like the biggest business justification for my role is our helmet off marketing, says Smith. Okay, so what does that mean, Smith? He explains that fashion serves as a vehicle for these off-field moments, like when Smith is creating social content of players getting dressed for their tunnel entrances. It ultimately helps to build that fandom between players and our NFL audience, he explains. So these creative directors, they make social content. Oh my God, I could do that in my sleep, guys. I need to, where do I apply for some of these jobs? Wait, sports creative director jobs. Where do I apply? Because, geez, creating social content, bro. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do some applications after this stream. That's insane. That's insane. Okay, let's read on. However, experts agree that a stylist is just one piece of the puzzle. To fully leverage fashion as a strategic tool, sports organizations need to think holistically. In an ideal world, a major sports organization would have a creative director, an in-house stylist, and an in-house production manager, and an in-house partnerships manager who is specifically focused on fashion. I agree with that. Shout out to Daniel Miller. So Daniel, for guys that don't know who Daniel is, quick side note. So when I worked at the Business of Fashion as a writer, Daniel was working there too, and Daniel specialized on all the sports stories for BOF. I think he's no longer at BOF, but that's his specialty. He covers sports, where sports, business and fashion, where it interacts. That's his bread and butter. So he would know more than anyone else in the industry because he covers it the closest. So shout out to Daniel. But anyway, let's read his quote again. In an ideal world, a major sports organization would have a creative director, an in-house stylist, an in-house production manager, and an in-house partnerships manager who is specifically focused on fashion. Yeah, I agree with what he said there. They said a sports business and fashion journalist who also runs Sportsverse on Substack. You guys should definitely check out his Substack. Really, really well versed when it comes to, fashion and sports and where it intersects. And he just has great insights. So yeah, definitely check out his Substack. But reading on, brand strategist Hayden Friedman, who often works at the intersection between fashion and athletics brands, stresses the importance of partnerships managers in driving conversion at team level. Investing in a smart partnerships manager is one way that you could create a lot of impact across different parts of the consumer marketing funnel if you're a team or league, says Friedman. In practice, this role would own the strategy behind fashion-facing partnerships, identifying which brands make sense, ensuring collaborations align with the team's function and cultural identity, and turning cultural relevance into measurable business growth through KPIs related to acquisition conversion, media value, and impact on brand equity. All of that is factual. All of that is definitely factual. And I'll also say that if they have these like fashion forward people working in-house for these teams, it could also help to educate the athletes on fashion, which would help their own personal brands, which could only mean good things for the teams that they play for, because the value of a team is based on the addition of their players versus so many other factors, right? And if your players are really valuable in the fashion space, then it makes the teams more valuable in the fashion space. So I think this could mean a lot of athletes being more fashion forward, thinking about their image, or hiring stylists, working with the in-house stylist. And historically, in-house people always understand their clients the best. Like if I think of the golden age of red carpet looks, I think of when modern stylists didn't exist, and it was all these like the same in-house designers that used to do the costume for films. Now we're talking about like the 20th century. I'm talking about people like Edith Head or Adrian. They would also be the in-house designers that would design the red carpet looks for their clients. And that to me is the golden age of red carpet looks. So if they can kind of recreate that, but like in a sports bro way for these athletes, I think that could only mean good things, because they will truly understand the market, but also the people that they work for. Either the NFL or the NBA. The NFL has 53 players per team approximately. It will be easier to do for the NBA because the NFL has a lot of players per team, and it's more of a revolving door than the NBA, to be honest. It'll be more beneficial for the NBA than the NFL, but I still think it would be beneficial for the NFL also, for sure. Julia says, this is an interesting article. I see what they're getting at, and it's quite true. Brand collaborations can really grow and influence fan bases. Yeah, for sure. Can you come up with 54 looks? Of course I can. If you pay me 250k a year, I will come up with 100 looks. Trust me. I don't think it's that hard to come up with 54 looks. I mean, design teams do it all the time. Like creative directors do it multiple times a year. And they design and do other things. And they have to make all the looks for their runway shows. And some of them have like 6 runway shows a year. So I'm very sure it's more than possible. If not, it's not that hard. It's actually not that hard, to be honest. If that's like your full-time job, like that's your actual job to be a stylist, like an in-house stylist, that's not hard at all. There are much harder jobs to do in this world than come up with 54 looks, I can assure you. Especially when it will be easy for you to pull a lot of looks that you want from a lot of luxury brands, because you're using the infrastructure of a sports team, and you're using the cachet and social media following of the athletes that you are styling. So yeah, MLB baseball players need it. MLB players don't really have outside endorsements, or at least not as much as the NBA. Yeah, for sure. So tennis players have a lot of endorsements, but they're not seen as like fashion icons. But a lot of tennis players have like watch endorsements, like Rolex and like Hublot and Tag Heuer and stuff like that. And they normally have like a sportswear sponsor, so like a Nike. Some of them do like Lacoste or whatever, and that kind of informs. So when they have, like, I remember when Serena Williams was like signed with Nike, so she would do like all the off-white stuff. So that's kind of where the tennis players do, but they could do more with the tennis players for sure. They could definitely do more with the tennis players. Jennifer said you could do it in your sleep. No, I think I could. I think it would be hard for NFL because the men are huge. They're wide as hell. You would just figure out what brands work for those kind of athletes. Like if that's your full-time job, eventually you'll just kind of know what brands cater to like wider, broader athletes. And then you'll kind of have like a good list. And then also you would have like feedback from your athletes as to what brands do they like and what brands do they wear. It's kind of like a collaborative effort in a way. I don't see how you could dress them baseball players. Damn, you guys don't have any faith in the baseball players. No faith. NBA has 82 games per season. I could do the NBA. The NBA has what, 12 to 15 players on a roster and 82 games a season. So I have to come up with 15 looks every couple of days. That's not that hard, honestly. Maybe because I work in the fashion industry, because like I've styled some things. I have friends that have been stylists for really long. They have to do more than that. Like they're on the shoot styling every day, and they have to. Most of them do like, if not every other day, and most of them do like loads of looks. Like some of them on Monday, they're styling like a H&M shoot. That H&M shoot, they're literally shooting like 100 looks. And then the next day they have to do like, I don't know, it might be a luxury brand, it might be like a Dior shoot, and then they're styling like another 20. It's really not that hard, you know. Like someone that does styling at a high level full time in the fashion industry would be a cakewalk to get paid loads of money to style athletes, to be very honest. Like they would be like, what? Sign me up. But anyway, let's read on, guys. Miller also emphasizes that teams need to treat fashion with the same strategic intent as other commercial initiatives. I would hope they would do that because it's big money. It would be stupid for them not to. But reading on, one of the biggest things that I've spoken about in sports, both in Europe and the US, is that a lot of their partnerships or initiatives, as they relate to fashion, can seem haphazard without a strategy, he continues. Hiring stylists can help build a collective strategy, which helps not just one or two players in the team, but the team overall. I think that's probably because the average person still sees fashion as like a thing that's frivolous, because they don't understand that fashion is like big money, like billions and billions and trillions of dollars worldwide. So they don't understand how much money they gain to make from being aligned with the fashion industry, because people always perceive maybe like working with a watch brand as like a better thing. But fashion brands, like realistically, a lot of fashion brands that are tied to fashion conglomerates have way more money than these like independent watch brands that are like respected, but they don't have that much money. And also the conglomerates that own a lot of these watches anyway, like if we're talking about like Richemont or even talking about LVMH, they have all the money. So why wouldn't you treat the fashion partnerships with the same respect that you would the watch ones, when actually the fashion brands make more revenue than a lot of the watch companies? So apparently Rolex in 2024 made $10.5 billion. So already Louis Vuitton makes more money than that. So like, once again, you need to treat partnerships with the same respect as you would these watch companies, because a lot of these fashion brands make more money than some of the companies that people think are like so huge. Yeah, but I could see the NFL players groveling over Audemar's Richard Mille. Yeah, true, but they just need to broaden their horizons, to be honest, if they want to get into the upper echelon of the fashion space and make more money, because they can do the watch and the fashion endorsements. I think it's in their best interest. Dressing nice isn't frivolous, and men think it is. I don't think dressing nice is frivolous at all. I'm just saying that the general like consensus around like the average person just thinks that as a man, why do you care about the way you look? Which is so stupid, but a lot of guys are like that. Like I meet so many people like that. I even have friends that think like that. Like friends that I've made from being on sports teams and stuff. Some of them think like that. So yeah, interesting story. Interesting to see how the fashion and sports space has developed over the years and how it's going to continue to develop as time progresses. I'm very curious to see how exactly they do their job, like a lot of these in-house creative directors, and how they roll out these things. I think is very interesting, and I think it's long overdue. I'm so surprised that they're only doing this now. It's like crazy actually that they're only doing this now. This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind-the-scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.